The butterfly effect is the sensitive dependence on initial conditions in which a small change in one instance can lead to far greater changes in later instances. We examine the results of the butterfly effect in science, history, art, innovation, and all walks of life. But what about seeing the butterfly effect in sports? Short Sports and View from the U Productions bring you What If? It's impossible to talk about the Holy War without talking about streaks. They're found everywhere in this matchup, which is to be expected for a series that's lasted over a century. The University of Utah Utes and BYU Cougars first played each other in the 1890s when BYU was still Brigham Young Academy. They've played football every year since then, save a couple years for World War II, and this year when the world was faced with coronavirus and Utah went the way of the Pac-12 and not playing football in 2020. Ask any Utahn and they'll tell you about the blood rivalry between these two schools. Utah welcomed the Cougars back to college football with a 49-0 win after a 22-year hiatus by the Cougars to start the 20th century. Since then, it's been ferocious. Both teams traded long streaks of dominance as the decades passed, and since the two shared a conference, the game, dubbed the Holy War, usually had championship implications. These two schools hated each other, and students coming into the schools today don't even know how bad it used to be. See, we're talking about a rivalry that lasted through the lawlessness and the anarchy of the 70s and 80s. These teams said the nastiest stuff about each other. Then Utah coach Wayne Howard once said, "The hatred between Utah and BYU is nothing compared to what it will be. It will be a crusade to beat BYU from now on." Oh, the hatred was real, folks. In the 2000s and 2010s, we've definitely seen a shift in the vitriol. For any rivalry to make sense and work, the teams have to be close in terms of quality of play, and the games themselves have to be competitive in the very least. Since 2000, BYU has gone 5-15 against their rivals to the north, and even some of those 5 wins were too close for comfort. It's been a teeter-totter of a series ever since the two schools faced off, and on one fateful night in 2018, we saw an amalgamation of everything that is the Holy War. Both teams came into their 99th meeting with largely nothing to prove. The Utes had already sealed up a spot in the Pac-12 championship with a 2-game win streak, and BYU was coming off their own 2-win streak, securing a bowl spot in the process. Neither team had anything to play for, but both teams knew exactly what was on the line. This was for bragging rights, this was for pettiness, this was for the season, this was for glory.
The Holy War took place on a cold November night in 2018. BYU's first touchdown came at 10:56 in the first quarter, where Zach Wilson threw on the run to Neil Powell in the back corner of the end zone. With under 4 minutes left in the first quarter, Utah still remained scoreless. BYU added to their lead with Wilson throwing to sophomore tight end Matt Bushman down the middle for a touchdown. The BYU defense was in the zone as Utah quarterback Jason Shelley's offense recorded just 9 total yards in the first quarter. Utah had what it looked like a promising offensive play in the second quarter as Shelley threw deep to Jalen Dixon, but he dropped it. Just a few minutes later, Samson Nakua also couldn't hold on to a deep pass from Shelley. You could hear the crowd just booing in frustration. Utah attempted to score at least 3 points, though, with a 54-yard attempt by Matt Gay, only for it to be blocked by BYU. With 20 seconds left to play in the first half, running back Matt Hadley scores on 3rd and goal at the 1-yard line. And just like that, BYU is up 20-0 at the half. Utah fans were just stunned. The energy was sucked out of Rice-Eccles Stadium, as it seemed like literally nothing could go right for Utah. In the second half, though, the momentum quickly shifted to the Utes. The third quarter opened up with a pick 6 by Julian Blackman, and suddenly the crowd showed life. BYU had yet another answer, though, as Matt Hadley showed goal line dominance and walked in for another touchdown from the 1-yard line. With 40 seconds left in the third quarter, Shelley finds Samson Nakua for Utah's first offensive touchdown. Utah would not allow BYU to score again, though, in the fourth quarter. Utah marched down the field with Utah running back Armand Shine walking in for the touchdown. Utah is still down, though, 27-21, but Shelley threw a wide open pass to wide receiver Mariner on a huge third down conversion. The next drive, Shine scored yet another to tie the game with 3 minutes left. With the game on the line, Utah's John Pennicini and Chase Hansen came up with the crucial fourth down stop with just under a minute left. Jason Shelley topped off the game with a 40-yard touchdown run to make it a 35-27 game. As the crowd just roared in excitement, the 2018 Holy War was a comeback for the ages. Utah had won its 8th straight Holy War, when it looked like BYU's first half dominance was just about to break that streak. But what would have happened if Utah didn't have a historic second half and fell to the rival on their home field?
The butterfly effect is the sensitive dependence on initial conditions in which a small change in one instance can lead to far greater effect. Is the sensitive dependence on initial conditions in which a small change in one instance can lead to far greater is the sensitive dependence on initial conditions in which a small change in one instance
Enter another reality.
BYU was down and out. Utah had seemingly planted the dagger. The fans were about to rush the field, and the red sideline was jumping with ecstasy. BYU knew what needed to be done. With 2 minutes left in the game, Zach Wilson is handed the ball on his own 25-yard line. The comeback begins. Wilson begins the drive with 2 quick passes to move the sticks. One to Matt Bushman, who's been stellar all night, and the other to Matt Hadley, who breaks through on the screen unexpectedly through the Utah line for a huge gain to the Utah red zone. The stadium has gone quiet in a matter of seconds. Players on both sides of the field are anxiously waiting for something to give, and it does soon enough. With 30 seconds left, Wilson breaks free of the pocket, dashes, spins, and hurls over a lunging Jalen Johnson into the Utah end zone. He spikes the ball and runs up the sideline, Baker Mayfield-like, arms failing, and teammates swarming. The Cougars are within 1 with seconds left on the clock. Instead of kicking the field goal, sending it to overtime, renegade play caller Kalani Sitake decides that now is the time to strike. The Cougars set up for a field goal, and the Utes show their goal line defense. The ball is hiked, and the holder catches, stands, and turns out of the pocket, hitting a streaking Bushman who carries it into the end zone unfettered. BYU has done the impossible. They've beaten Utah on their own field. The sideline erupts and rushes the field, tackling Bushman in a sea of blue and an ocean of red. The boos are immense, but none of that matters. The streak is over. The teams eventually crowd into their locker rooms. Kyle Whittingham, Jalen Johnson, and Morgan Scaley shuffle into the press conference room with somber faces and visible anger. They sit down to face the music. The press conference is brutal. Everything is called into question. Johnson is grilled about his missed tackle that cost the Utes the game and is defended by Coach Witt and Scally. It's not his fault, they both echo. It's ours as a staff.
The team is in shambles, but BYU is all smiles. Coach Sitake is as bright as ever on the stand, and Zach Wilson is praised for his elusiveness and quick thinking on the game-winning score. His Joe Burrow-esque swagger emanates throughout the room, and even the reporters start to have a good time. Now, in our regular timeline, the Utes responded to the Holy War comeback with a heartbreaking loss in the Pac-12 championship and the Holiday Bowl on New Year's Eve. BYU would follow up their loss with a dominating win over Western Michigan in the Idaho Farms Potato Bowl. But this isn't reality. After the devastating loss, Utah's spirits are shattered. They limp into the Pac-12 championship and get destroyed by Washington, losing 52-14. Jason Shelley throws 6 interceptions before being pulled for a still injured Tyler Huntley, who throws 2 more. BYU sets the 21st century record for the most points scored in a game, destroying Wisconsin for the second time this year, scoring 76 points on the back of Zach Wilson, who's now in the conversation for a Heisman upset. On the back of their devastating defeat, Utah sees itself thrown in with the mediocrity of the 7-5 teams and wins a 2-close nail-biter with Mississippi State in the Outback Bowl. The butterfly effect can affect so many things. BYU was 1 drive away from a momentous comeback that would have gone down in school history, and Utah would never forget taking the Cougars for granted. But that didn't happen, so we still get to laugh at them, and all is well.